Breaking news update. Legal battles heat up over Trump's trade policies. Good evening, folks. We've got some major developments brewing in Washington tonight. And trust me, you're going to want to hear this. So here's what's happening. Remember those tariffs President Trump's been pushing. You know, the ones where he said if you're building overseas and trying to undercut American workers, you're going to pay a big fat tariff before bringing that stuff back into the U.S. Well, a federal court just threw a major curveball, ruling that most of these tariffs are actually illegal. Now, before you start panicking or celebrating, depending on where you stand, these tariffs aren't going anywhere just yet. They're staying in effect while this whole thing heads straight to the Supreme Court. And that's where it gets really interesting. The legal showdown, Attorney General Pam Bondi didn't waste any time firing back. She's basically saying, hey, the president found a national emergency and acted under the law. These judges are stepping on the executive branch's toes when it comes to foreign policy. Strong words, right. But here's where it gets fascinating. We had Berkeley law professor John Yoo break this down, and he's making some pretty compelling arguments. He's saying the court totally missed the mark by ignoring whether trade deficits actually constitute a national security emergency. Instead, they're focused on this International Economic Emergency Powers Act. And get this, they're claiming it doesn't give the president broad powers in foreign affairs. Wait, what? If a president can cut off all trade with countries like Iran, Cuba, and North Korea, which they can and have done, how can they not impose a 10%, 20%, or even 30% tariff? It's like saying you can shut down the whole highway, but you can't put up a speed bump. Makes you think, doesn't it? What's next? Legal expert Alex Voyer is nodding along, saying this case is probably going to hit the Supreme Court's shadow docket in the next few weeks. And here's the kicker. He's already eyeing Justices Roberts, Kavanaugh, Alito, and Thomas as likely to say. It's not the court's job to second guess what the executive branch calls a national emergency. Separation of powers, people, is not just a civics class concept. It's playing out in real time right before our eyes. The Fed drama, but wait, there's more. We've got this whole Lisa Cook situation unfolding. She's a Fed member who's been accused of mortgage fraud, and apparently she's not alone in facing these kinds of allegations. The big question everyone's asking, can she be removed from her position? Here's what's wild. There's this legal standard they're looking for called arbitrary and capricious. Sounds fancy, right? But it could be the key to removing her. And with the Supreme Court already giving Trump the green light on some previous firings, this could get very interesting very quickly. The bigger picture. Think about what we're witnessing here, folks. We've got the executive branch flexing its muscles on trade policy, the judicial branch pushing back, and it's all heading to the Supreme Court. Meanwhile, there are questions about whether key financial officials can even stay in their positions. Are we seeing a fundamental shift in how much power the president has to shape economic policy? Is the court system overstepping its bounds, or is it doing exactly what it's supposed to do, providing checks and balances? What this means for you, here's the bottom line. Whether you're a small business owner worried about supply costs, a worker concerned about job security, or just someone trying to make sense of it all, these decisions are going to affect your wallet. Tariffs don't just disappear into thin air. They get passed along to consumers. So what do you think? Is Trump's approach to protecting American workers the right move, even if the courts are saying it's legally questionable? Or should we be more concerned about the precedent this sets for presidential power? One thing's for sure. The Supreme Court's going to have its hands full, and we'll be watching every move. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about legal technicalities. It's about who gets to decide America's economic future. Stay tuned, folks. This story's just getting started. What's your take on this legal showdown? Do you think the president should have this kind of power over trade policy, or are the courts right to push back?